So for the next few videos, we are also going to be talking about the importance of water content, adjusting the water content, how you know that you have an overly dry or an overly wet bomb, and how to fix it while you are making your bath bomb powder. And I am super duper excited for all of this because after we get through this, we're going to hit the walking stage, and I'm pumped for that. I will tell you more about today's video in just a minute, but before I do, hello, I am Mrs. Soap and Clay. Let's make stuff. How's it going, SUDSERs? Welcome back to the channel. You are at Soap and Clay, where we make all the soapy things. And you are here for week 26 of year 3 and video number 3 in our Back to Basics Bath Bomb playlist. And we are going to be focusing today on the importance of water and giving you real-life applications and examples so you can see just how important that water bit is within a bath bomb. We're also going to be talking about some substitutions, i.e. witch hazel and alcohol, because those are two that are commonly used within bath bomb recipes, and why I don't think you should use them in your bath bomb recipes unless your bath bomb is too wet. So let's get to the video. We are going to be making 2-3 different batches of bath bomb mixture, combining them all into one bath bomb and seeing, where in that bath bomb we have a fragility problem. So let's get there and we can do all of that. Okay, so before we start getting into substitutions, additions, all of the fun things that you can do with a bath bomb powder, I really do want to give another practical example of the importance of water within your bath bomb mixture. So as you remember in the very first video, we did one whole batch without water at all, and we did 2 batches that had water in them, showed the drop test. All the ones without water, they broke, and they were very crumbly, and they were very, fragile. And the 2 that had water, they were not. They were the absolute opposite of that. I'm going to show you how that can also be seen within the same bath bomb. So what is currently in all 3 of these containers is 1 tablespoon of the scent, 1 tablespoon of the apricot oil, a lightweight oil that is good for bath bombs, as well as 2 cups baking soda. Again, citric acid gets added at the end at 1 cup for this particular recipe. Very, very simple. So we have no arrowroot, we have no kaolin clay, we have no cornstarch, we have no butters, just a very simple basic recipe to help you understand, how you can go ahead and swap things out once you get really good at understanding the consistency of the bath bomb mixture itself. So within the 2 colored portions, remember from the bath bomb colorants when I mixed up the FD&Cs, I am putting a tablespoon of that. Because there's water, I mix those with water into these 2 containers. So the same amount of water that I would otherwise use in, what we saw in the very first recipe with the 2 all-white bath bombs. Neither one of these are going to get polysorbate 80, so it is a deviation from the first recipe to show you, that the polysorbate 80 essentially does not have anything to do with the stability and the overall curing of the bath bombs themselves. Now the white, because we do not have any colorant within this white, I'm not going to put any water in. And we are going to be doing a layered bath bomb with all of this, with the blue and the pink and the white in the middle. And you will be able to tell the difference between the 2 colored versions that have the water in them versus the white that does not. And again, the only difference between these 3 batches are the white one does not have water, the colored ones do. It's a really good way to test your actual recipes and to start really getting a good handle on the consistency of a bath bomb powder and what it should feel like while you are molding to ensure that you have a successful bath bomb every single time. And so 1 cup of citric acid goes into every single, container at this point, because everything's been mixed in really thoroughly. I've gotten the water throughout all of it, the color throughout all of it, broken up all the big clumps of the white baking soda that's going to clump up or can clump up. And I am working in about 50 to 60% humidity today. I believe I will show it at some point. That's what I'm working with here. Now you can already see just by this view how the pink, it already looks like a damp sand, right? It's a damp sand as opposed to, well, not. It's just bath bomb. It's just, a dry mixture in the white portion. And so you can already tell between these two that there is a difference. And again, if you look at them side by side, one is going to not really clump very well. The other one is going to hold its form much longer, much better. That is the consistency that you're really wanting to go for with your bath bomb mixture. Don't be afraid of it being damp. It does need to be damp in order to form into your spherical shape. Now, as I said, this is a layered bath bomb, but I am going to do it the exact same way I showed you in the first video as far as the putting in the powder into the mold. And so I put my colors in, and I do not press down between layers. I make it so it's overflowed on each half, and then I gently press it down into the mold so it's smooth on the top. And then on one side, I put in one more mound of bath bomb mixture to really seal everything together and allow for the compression. And then, it's putting it on, it's squeezing it, giving a couple tappy taps, and you have a beautiful bath bomb. Very nicely. There were no problems with the two sides not, sticking together. There was enough bath bomb powder. There wasn't too much bath bomb powder within the mold. And at first blush, it looks great. The problems are going to arise after the cure, after it is dried out, and we take it out of, the cradles that I put them in to dry out. Under normal circumstances, if I noticed that one of my bath bomb powders were overly dry, that were drier than the other, I would probably at this stage, because you can't really add water once you have the citric acid in, you're going to be running a risk of all kinds of problems. Really, realistically, what I would do is I would put the white portion, the drier portion, into the actual middle of the bath bomb and really mold the more wet bath bomb mixture around it to ensure that it's going to stay stable throughout the entire, drying process. So effectively, I would mix the more wet, bath bomb mixture with the drier in order to ensure that everything basically is going to dry fine and I don't have any issues with fragility later. But because we are doing this for an example to show you just how much of a difference that little bit of water can make, I'm not doing that. Now, with these particular bath bombs, I am also showing you, remember how I talked about in the first video, a cracked bath bomb mold? I'm also showing you how you can continue to use a cracked bath bomb mold, a broken mold, with your bath bomb making if you have the right consistency of bath bomb powder. If it is too dry, this is never going to work and it's not going to form correctly with that crack, especially with that crack, but generally. But if you have a mixture that is, damp enough, you're not going to have any problems continuing to use a cracked bath bomb mold until it finally just gives up the ghost and breaks in totality. So I did want to show you that. It will have a line on the top, but as you can see, I've just been smoothing it out with my finger and going on about my business. Now, these bath bombs, because there's just one piece of them, the white piece that doesn't really have enough moisture in it, it's going to be too dry. They're ultimately going to be fine overall. They're going to survive a break test. They're going to survive shippability, but we are going to end up seeing a lot of crumbly. If you were to drop it just directly on the white portion, you run the potential of it breaking into two halves. That's more likely than not. Overall, it lacks structural integrity, which is obviously something we want to avoid because obviously we want our bombs to be able to reach their end user intact. Somebody paid for something. They want them to show up unscathed. And so let's go to the, test and see exactly what I'm talking about with this. Okay, and on to the reveal, and these have set up overnight, and so they were in, open air doing their drying out thing, and I am already playing with it, but as you can see, we already have some, you see the white all over my hands? We already have some issues with it being overly crumbly in the middle there because that was the portion that had, again, no water. So these sorts of issues, again, because of the way that I molded these, they are ultimately going to be fine in in shipping. But realistically, if this were too much of the bath bomb, this would be considered a failed batch for me, and I would be breaking these up and using them for other things. 53% humidity right now. And again, that was at a full tablespoon. You can use less for a more humid environment. Start at a teaspoon and move your way up, or more if you have a drier environment. But the water is very, very crucial, as I have shown you for 3 videos now, so I'm not going to do that anymore. For the rest of these videos, we are going to be talking about substitutions for water, because there are substitutions, as I discussed in the last video, witch hazel and alcohol are not good substitutions, but there are some that you could consider that also have added benefits outside of just the hardening and the forming of the crust on the bath bombs. We're also going to be doing tests of all of these bath bombs for the very final video. A lot are getting made in this, and so I want them all in one place. So, stay tuned for that. But so far, here you go. This is a very gorgeous bath bomb that is available over on the website right now. Yeah, so as you can see, the white part, the part that had no water in it, it's very dry. It's definitely, crumbling away. It's very, very soft. I can stick my finger directly into it. If I were to drop that bath bomb directly on the seam, it would break into 2 pieces, while the blue part and the pink part would stay firm. They would stay intact because of the water. Definitely forming that crust. Just having a little bit of the water for a little bit of the baking soda and the citric acid to react to and start to harden is really very important within bath bombs, for sure, even within high humidity, as I've said. And you can see that in real time, and just how annoying it can become within a bath bomb recipe when you've made your bombs and then you show up the next day and they're not looking great. And to the substitution using witch hazel or rubbing alcohol, again, as I've said, those are both astringents. They are meant to dry things out. That is going to run contrary to what you want your bath bomb mixture to be doing at this moment. That said, if your mixture is overly wet, you can for sure put some witch hazel or some rubbing alcohol in. You will end up getting a fizzy reaction in more cases than not because that water is there. So it's essentially trying to neutralize a whole bunch of stuff in order to dry it out. But if you just kind of mix the witch hazel or the rubbing alcohol in, let it sit for about 30 seconds, it will start to dry your batch out. That said, anytime you start adding things to the batch after the citric acid is already in, you are shortening the amount of time, the amount of working time that you have for this bath bomb. So it becomes really chaotic, really stressful, really quickly when you don't really have your feet underneath you. So that goes back to my biggest pro tip ever. Always, always put your citric acid in last, right before you're ready to mold. So there's that. If you are interested in these bombs, I think they're available at soapandclay.com right now. They were just part of the Pride series. So yeah, you can go check those out. That would be awesome. If you're interested in the series and all the things, obviously like and comment and whatever, and I'll keep making it. So that would be cool. Next up in the round is going to be putting in embeds, hidden colors within the bath bombs, and how you can do that and what the consequences of doing it each way realistically are, as well as, real world examples of each of those ways. Now remember, for all of these bath bombs, we are going to do one dedicated video testing every one of them so you can see which one you like the best, because we're going to be playing with different additives and all the things in the videos that are coming up. So yeah, stay tuned for that. SUDSERs, thank you for being you, for existing, and for being awesome. I hope you guys are having a really fun summer. I know everything's been super duper nuts with all of the fairs and all the things that are going on. I am definitely running in a million different, directions, and it's been wild. But I love you, I appreciate you, and thank you. I am out of here, but I will see you in the next round of the Back to Basics Bath Bomb-y fun. Bye. Yeah, you put a blanket on that doesn't match anything. I don't know why you would do that. You've got so many colors in this shop, chick. What are you doing? Cool.